Okay, everybody, so welcome back. This is Ian. It's the 23rd of May, 2022, and this again is for our therapy, mental health professional, counselors, really anybody who's building a mental health-oriented brand or business. And this is part of the Q&A that we had the other day relative to folks who are in our community and asking questions. So the question was about Brighter Vision, to my eye, what looks like an online templatized sort of therapy in a box sort of business. And lots of people apparently in our community were curious as to whether or not I'd recommend that as the best option for building a therapy-oriented blog and business. And the answer is I don't. And the reason is quite simple. First, there are lots of these sorts of templatized kind of web design frameworks that are out there for just about every niche that you can imagine. I've worked with financial advisors who sell these sorts of services, and real estate agents and CPA and chiropractic, and all those sorts of businesses have this sort of framework out there, or template set out there to choose from. And it's rarely a good idea. The sites generally look all the same. They're not that, there are some unique design differences, but they're not really that interesting. And it's not necessary. That's really the most important thing. You can build a much more sophisticated and purpose-driven site that actually makes you money and builds your brand and does all this on a bootstrap budget without paying some outside company to do things that you don't need. So what I recommend instead of something like a Brighter Vision is to build, first of all, your own site. It's just really, really simple to do this now. You can use Ghost for an example, which is a phenomenal way of building a membership style site with restricted access. You can upload files, you can give things to clients that you don't give, or patients that you don't give to the general public. You can create tiers where people have access to something, they don't have access to something else. You can create a newsletter, you can sell products, you can do all sorts of cool and creative things using the most sophisticated web design and development tools that are available now without paying some sort of outsourced agency who's going to templatize your business in a way that makes it somewhat, there's a real lack of differentiation between these sorts of branded sites. And I can tell immediately when I'm looking at a client site or a site that's using one of these sorts of services, that they're using one of these sorts of services. Even as I look at the templates here on Brighter Vision, who I don't know, and I'm not trying to disparage, but I can see the images are very stock images that are, you can find anywhere online. I'm looking at the images in their portfolio page, and I've seen these a zillion times in a zillion different permutations of different templatized site building services. They're freely available, and you're really getting something that's really generic, in my view, that's not really customized to you. So again, there are lots of options out there. There's WordPress, there's Squarespace, there are lots of those sorts of solutions, but I recommend using Ghost instead. Ghost is really simple to set up. It's dummy easy to use as a non-tech, non-code, non-design type of person. I'm certainly not that person. I'm not a designer, and I've managed to build some very cool things using Ghost. As a matter of fact, our community membership site runs on Ghost. You can see that in lightenup.mindfulmarketplace.com. So you can see what that looks like in terms of what we've built with it. And it's really it's really a time in the evolution of the online branding space where you don't need one of these other companies charging you $100 a month for SEO and this and that and unlimited content pages or 10 content. It's just kind of a that moment in history has passed, in my view. Like, you don't need to be paying someone like me or someone like them to build you a site with like 7 pages as part of a $99 or $59 or $149 a month package. It's just a ripoff. As a matter of fact, I can tell you from personal experience, I've had family members who are psychiatrists and therapists and, all sorts of mental health professionals of one kind or another who have used these sorts of services, and I always just kind of like look at them, roll my eyes, and look at what they've ended up getting and thinking, why would you choose this? And the story often, by the way, ends badly. I don't know anything about Brighter Vision in particular, but I do know my sister happens to be a psychiatrist, and she happened to hire someone like this who did something, created a site for her with all these different SEO modules and blah, 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 blah. And then this person ended up quitting. He just shut down his business, and without really any advance notice to his little cadre of clients, and she ended up being shit out of luck, having a website that she couldn't access and a domain, by the way, that he was controlling the name of the domain. And it just ended up really being a sort of a nightmare for her to extricate herself from that particular challenging set of circumstances. So even if you're not a designer, I recommend, or a developer, or don't even want to do a lot of work on your own site, there's no reason not to build something great that has memberships, that has really great newsletter functionality, that's high-end looking, and all those sorts of things. And it can be done on something like Ghost, really on a bootstrap budget for pennies on the dollar in aggregate relative to what you're going to pay on one of these Brighter Vision style platforms. Again, I know nothing about them in particular, so I'm not trying to be disparaging. I just have a lot of experience with these sorts of companies, and I generally try to advise people in my orbit to look in another direction. Okie doke. Teach what you know, do what you love, wake up the world with your work. Thank you again so much for listening. This is Ian from Mindful Marketplace. And again, if you want to look at our membership site that runs on Ghost, which is very easy to do, enlightenup.mindfulmarketplace.com. You can also reach out to me, mindfulmarketplace@gmail.com, and I'm happy to give you some advice. Thanks again, and have a great day.